I have what I consider to be one of the most amazing mirrors because the detail, the age, it's just beautiful. But nobody wanted it at the auction because it was broken. They didn't see, like, maybe they didn't know how to attach it back on, or they didn't want to deal with it. But I'm okay with that because I don't mind fixing things. So since this piece is so heavy, and then you can tell that somebody tried to nail it back into place, which did not work at all. Luckily, it seems like the pieces and parts are still there. They still kind of line up. Once I lift it up, I think it's good to go, but I'm going to go ahead and use some Titebond Quick and Thick glue. That's what's in my applicator bottle to get this reattached, making sure that I'm touching all the parts that are touching on the both of the sides. So luckily it was a clean break, but unfortunately it's one of those pieces that sits way up, like it is not flush with the back of the frame. So I'm going to have to go ahead and clamp it and then kind of clamp it so it's still in that upright position. Then I let it dry overnight, glue the two pieces together, and now I can remove the clamps with a hope and a prayer that the two pieces are together again. Today's video, I am salvaging some old mirrors, some mirrors that nobody else really wanted at the auction. A lot of people would just throw them away. They're broken. The mirror is not as pristine as you think, but I love the vibe of old mirrors. And I never really have much luck with them being the gold older color. I have a lot of luck painting them up, y'all. So if you're regular of the channel, you know I do a lot of the mirrors and they sell so fast. And we just went through the holidays and I have empty wall space because I have nothing left to fill it. So I need to get painting something. But this one is an old mirror, but the mirror's gone. So one of them that I'm going to be doing today is super large. But you know what? Doesn't have to have a mirror back in it. I'm not going to, can't imagine what what it would cost to put a mirror in here, but I want to make it into beautiful one-of-a-kind wall decor along with painting up some old mirrors. Now that I have that glued back together, it's nice and secure, I need to see what's underneath this tape. Is the tape what's holding the glass of the mirror in the frame, or is it just there for whatever reason? It did not feel loose, but I wanted to make sure that there was something holding this glass in there. So I glued them on, but I didn't get them like even smooth because they were different size. So I'm just going to sand it. Unfortunately, paper does not fit. This is such a tight fit here that I have to do some painter's tape. And of course it's not flat, not straight. It's got all nice fun little curves going on. So I'm going to go ahead and seal everything in with a few coats of shellac. That's going to help my paint bond. You can tell where the older has been chipping off for whatever reason. They're so old that I have to be careful because they want to disintegrate on me. For my broken frame that I had to fix, I'm going to use basil because it's dark. Darker the color hides a lot of the imperfections, especially since that was broken off. Don't want you to notice that. Just want it to be clear. Okay, so see, like this one needed a lot of glue to keep it together. After it sat for a while, you just want to kind of go ahead and give it another little stir. I'm going to use a smaller brush just to get into all these details. Now I can take my bigger brush, which does get into though, but those had a little bit deeper valleys in there. Since the back has been glued and it's a little bit of a hot mess, let's take some of the paint and paint it, and especially in case you see it from the front. I tried my best, but there's that, you know. The thing about milk paint is you can heat it up with a heat gun to help it dry faster. Okay, my basil is dry. Now I want to go ahead and seal it in before doing any kind of waxes to bring out those amazing details of this frame. So just some polyacrylic and matte. Time to bring out the wonderful details in the mirror that the paint covered up. And I'm just using Fusion's aging wax. So it's just like the right amount of dirt. So just put it on a brush. Brush it right in there. Then I'll take a shop cloth, which is just like a paper towel, and then we will just wipe off the excess, leaving it in those fun little details, which really makes it look like an older piece. Okay, time to take all the tape, which probably seems extreme, but I spray it with shellac, and I'm a messy painter. Well, not this time, but you know. So I definitely need to put it back on this, especially where that duct tape definitely did not. I'm not going to try to clean it off because I might take the blacking off the back of the mirror. So I'm just going to back this like I normally do. This is just some double stick tape. This is the paper you get in the rolls like at Menards, Home Depot, like in the flooring section. I just use it for a lot of things in the shop, actually, a lot to back pictures with. So then I'm just going to take some sandpaper, and then I'm just going to go along that line and get it cut off. I'm just going to use these eyelet hangers that I get off of Amazon to attach. Just gonna kind of eyeball as best as I can, because this, you know, it's the weird. I'm giving it a good pull to make sure that it's not coming out. So we're doing some picks at the end of an auction, a person that had a ton of artwork and mirrors and other kind of whatnots that were more just stored on top of each other, weren't used. And this was one of the pieces. This was a broken down, used to probably be a mirror, but you can already see that red hue. I was excited because it had this back to it, and I'm like, I can paint something into that. I can paint this, make this some kind of a signage. Like, what does that say? 1738, 1838? I don't know what that says. Can y'all see it? I don't know what it says, but it could just be the number. But yes, we are going to do something with this and make it fabulous. I hope anyway. So these are the things that held the mirror in that we don't need. So I'm just pulling them out because you'll probably see them. more ripping them apart in shards before I'm getting them out, but getting them out nevertheless. Okay, I think I got, it was only on like this side that these were there, but there was little nails. So I definitely wanted to make sure I got those out. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spray paint the inside of this black. I'm not going to deal with any bleed through with that mahogany coloring going on. I'm sorry that I'm going to cover up the date, but what do you do? I can put a date back on there or something. I don't know, y'all. But I just want to spray the inside, and I'm just going to use some Rust-Oleum's black enamel. There's that lip, so I want to try to get underneath that lip. And just for timing, sometimes it's easier just to spray paint something. But I am going to I am going to paint the frame a different color, but so see where I would like to, you know, have a little bit of help with the paint job here. So here we go. So look at that. Yes. So that made it so much easier to paint the inside of this, though it's a spray paint, so it doesn't have a top coat to seal it in. I'm going to go ahead and use some polyacrylic in the clear matte to seal this black paint in before painting the frame. We're going to do the flour sack, just a nice classic white. So now I'm taking a little brush to start off, just to dab. I'm going to try to keep my paint off the black painted surface. I probably should cover it up with something, but we'll see how it goes. Oh my goodness, the white is just bringing out the detail and the florals of this frame. Oh. And that way with a little brush I can get under back here. For control and that little inner lip here, I'm just taking the small brush that doesn't have very much paint on it to get that little ledge. Okay, now I can come in with my bigger brush, still very carefully so I'm not splattering. Okay, so my wording for that is this. So I'm trying to incorporate the 1838 that I covered up. I want a horse because I have a lot of board to cover. So I'm doing carriage house, inn, bed, and breakfast. So now that I have my idea of how I want it to set, like I played with this, but you got that space over the horse's back that I thought that would be perfect. And then like you could, you know, like trade it around. I haven't played with my fonts yet to see if this is how I want my fonts. Like, do I want to do that? You know, I could change it to that. Carriage house inn, bed and breakfast, 1831, 1838. And so I just searched an image on my Cricut to find a horse that was like a shadow, solid, not too many small parts or anything like that, that I thought would all kind of fit in the space. So now I'll go back and I'll play with my fonts, play with the way that I think that I want. Like I could like change that out. You know, there's so many, you know, you just keep kind of playing until you're like, yes, that's the design I want. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it a basic font because of how I'm going to cut this out to use as a stencil. I minimized my screen because this is a 40 by 26 area I'm filling. So I got it the way that I want it now. Like I can't make that because if you go up to make it, it's like, it's too large. So now that I have the sizes I want, I can go in and I can ungroup it. and then I will leave them like locked in, and then try to see what I can cut out. I can cut out separately and then attach it to the board. So we'll see what my Cricut will let me cut out. Say this was a big, this is a big piece. So I'm just going to use some of this contact paper. Somehow I've ran out of transfer tape. You'll have that. I guess this is a version of transfer tape. And it's going to be one of those days where you run out of everything in the middle of a project, right? I'm going to make it work. This is the last little bit on that roll. God wink moment, we'll be able to make it last. I just need to get the vinyl off. So I'm actually just going to yep, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just not going to overthink it. And I'm just going to eyeball. Actually need to cut off this part because I need to put the year through here. And now I'm just going to do my 1838. Yes, it cut all the way through. I was actually just going to use it as a stencil, but when this came out, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. I don't think it's going to lay flat enough for me. So I changed my mind. That's why you see it, that it's all the way through. I'm just going to kind of center it in the space where the horse is. Attaching it down, I want to make sure that it's not completely going downhill. So 8. So it is off just. Okay, that was fun. That was fun. You know, because I could not Cricut out the whole wording. I had to try to measure and work on it, and you didn't want to hear me cussing. So at some point, it's just you just have to stop and like, okay, it just has to be that perfectly imperfect. But for the color, I'm liking the DIY paint to do my stenciling like this because I like the way that it distresses. So we're just made sure that it's all rubbed on there. Dry Techniques makeup sponge from the Dollar Tree store. And then you just don't want too much on your sponge because you don't want it to like seep underneath that vinyl. But well worth it because I think it'll be beautiful. I hope it will be. Okay, I'm going to add some heat to start taking off the vinyl. So hopefully it doesn't take off too much of my paint. This is the reason I really wanted it to be a stencil and not like vinyl where I had to stick it to because I knew it was just going to pull it up. But that's okay. We're just going to work with it. I know I got a little paint here. It's going to make it look older actually. So now I'm going to take the sander. I'm going to go over all of it. And then we're going to, even on the frame, and we're going to get it distressed and see what it looks like. I wanted this to look like an old sign, and I think it will. You have to take those God wink moments and take it as it is and trust the process and not get upset when you see a whole bunch of paint coming off. Okay, once I have this the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and take it on the frame. Okay, before adding any like wax to distress it, I need to seal it all in. So polyacrylic matte finish. Okay, so now I'm going to do some, the polyacrylic is dry, so I'm going to do some of the Fusion's aging wax. And that should tie all the different colors and the distressing all together. And there you go. I'm just going to go right on the horse to scare y'all. But it really doesn't do too much other than just makes it look like it's been around for a while. That's what I want it to do. And then, yep, I'll go right on here and do the same thing. I absolutely love this large, very heavy, ornate frame. It's got beveled glass, the mirror is beautiful, and I'm lucky enough that I can slip paper underneath the frame. Not always is that possible. Sometimes they're just so tight that nothing will stick underneath it. Time to mix up my paint for my mirrors, and for the long one I'm going to use Old Olive, which seems to be a very popular color. I do really good with greens. So if you have not used Sweet Pickins milk paint, it gives that old-timey look. It crackles, it crazes, it just chippies, so it kind of, you know, sticks with the vibe of the mirror other than making it just look like it was just freshly painted. So it's equal parts powder to equal parts water. I just have, this is just room temperature tap water that I just fill this water bottle with. This is just a scoop that I got out of probably coffee or something. And now you just stir it up until it's all incorporated together, kind of smushing it along the sides, making sure that everything is incorporated. You want to stir it for about 2 minutes to make sure that you've gotten all the lumps, all the dry powder mixed in with the water. You'll see it aerate, means it'll be bubbly, which is a good thing. You can use one of the fancy like frothing mixers if you want. This works for me. I like to be able to feel if it's all incorporated or not. You can kind of feel the resistance of the built up powder. Then you kind of just let it sit off to the side and thicken up. Though this one has a ton of detail, I don't need to use a smaller brush. This brush will work just fine to get in there. Do need to paint like this side of the back of it because you will see this from the side depending on where it's hanging, but I do need to I'll be putting a new hanging system on here anyway. Well, this side's probably going to soak in because I did not turn it over and put any shellac on there. We just need it to be the same color as what the front is. I'm going to get this back sprayed in with some polyacrylic, sealing in that milk paint. Okay, I don't know why, but for some reason the polyacrylic turned white on here, but that's okay because we're going to be using some aging wax to bring out the details, and that should, who knows, maybe it just pooled up. You just never know. You think you know, and then it's like, nope, this is what's going to happen today. So this is going to just give it that nice older patina. So, and I'm not going to be gentle. Whatever chips off, chips off. And I'll just take a shop cloth and then just rub it a little bit more. Oh, fun, 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 fun. Without, with. Okay, getting them cleaned up. I'm just using some of the Sprayway. Seems to be pretty good cleaner. It's an old mirror, so I can't say that like the imperfections are going to come out, but that's the character of it. That's why you want to match that frame up to the character of this aged mirror. Always, when you have a frame that can be hung either way, put a hanging system on the long way, put a hanging system on the short way, and then it opens up to the buyers for whatever space they have. Decided to add one more mirror into the mix. This mirror, as beautiful as the wooden, I kid you not, has been in my booth for a year. I've marked it down now to $25. $25, y'all, and nobody's still buying it. So it is time to paint it so I can get it to sell, because I know mirrors will sell if they're painted. This mirror has some very deep. So same thing, I'm just going to take a smaller brush. It's going to probably take a few coats of the white to get in there. Felt wiggles. Wondered if I needed to glue it, but I think it's just nailed in and it just wiggles a little bit. Time to switch over to a bigger brush. I can tell you, putting that shellac on, just like the paintbrush just glides. Between coats, I just stick my brushes in a Ziploc bag, and then since I usually use a Dixie cup, I go ahead and cover that up also until I'm ready to do my next coat. That's white for you. multiple. I'm sure it'll take more than 2 coats on this, especially since it's so dark of a wood, even with the shellac. So that's okay. It's all about the finished look. But look at that crackling that's going on. Oh, beautiful. The beautiful crackle on this one. Oh my goodness. Everyone is going to act a little bit different. But I do want to add some of the colored wax to it, the aging wax, but I need to still this milk paint in so that my paint doesn't turn completely brown, but it is gorgeous. So again, I'm going to be using some of the clear matte polyacrylic to seal the milk paint in. Okay, now it's this white mirror's turn to get some aging wax. Really want to get it into those detailed areas. So now I'm going to go in with some clear wax, aka the eraser. And then we will wipe off the excess. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope I have inspired you in case you have a mirror laying around that may need a little paint. Yeah, y'all, painted mirrors are hot sellers for me. I mean, I'm not saying that I put them right in and they sell that same day, but they sell very fast. So if you are a regular of the channel, you know how many times I paint mirrors up. So I was happy to come across some at auctions. I love that carriage house. As soon as I saw that frame, and I knew nobody else was going to want it because they were there to flip and resell, not necessarily to paint items. Not everybody, but I was happy to snag that up because I knew as soon as I saw that I wanted to make that into a bed and breakfast sign, which is another hot seller for me when I make some kind of a bed and breakfast sign. So I hope I've inspired you in any way. Just give me a quick comment down below. Thanks for watching today's video. Thank you for being part of our YouTube family, and we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.